This just in, learning scales is a pain in the ass, but it's really something that we have to do if we want to get real fretboard familiarity, right? If we want to stop feeling lost, stop looking at the fretboard, seeing spaces that are just sort of like shark-infested waters. There's nothing familiar there at all, right? Learning scales is just something we have to do if we want to abandon this feeling of being lost and instead remain found. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn octave linking. There's a source I saw today that said there were over 24,000 different scales to learn, right? Now, as we know, learning scales on the guitar suggests that we learn them in positions. Each one of those positions has a different fingering, right? 24,000 scales, 5 different fingerings. I mean, it's a wonder we can learn any scale in this instrument at all, but there is an easier way. If you're enjoying the channel, you like the content that I produce, you enjoy my teaching style, and you'd like to get a little bit deeper, consider joining my online guitar academy called The Studio. Inside The Studio, I teach live deep dive courses, I run live Q&A sessions, and I interact with guitar players every single day. If you're ready to understand the fretboard and you'd like to do it with me, consider joining the studio through my Patreon page. Head on over to my Patreon page, sign up for the studio. It's free for 7 days. Take a look around, check out all the content, ask me some questions. And if it feels right, stick around and we'll demystify this thing together. If you do decide to support the channel, I thank you in advance. When you map any information to a multi-stringed instrument, it generates patterns, right? Now we can get lost in patterns. It's a sort of a shallow learning curve, but it provides early success. Ultimately, we owe it to ourselves to dive a little bit deeper, but patterns turn out to be our superpower. We simply memorize a pattern and we've got something new, a new scale or a new chord. We're going to use those patterns, combine them with octaves, and expose a method to deploy any scale across the entire fretboard by learning one pattern. Let's zoom in and put this stuff directly on the fretboard where it belongs. So I covered this idea recently on a YouTube short. It got a lot of attention and it got a lot of questions, so I thought I'd do a deeper dive here. What we're going to do today is just take a scale pattern and I'm going to link it together with itself over octaves. In other words, we're going to be cutting and pasting that same pattern over and over again. We're going to be using the A minor pentatonic scale. And I'm just going to basically use that one pattern because that's an octave. Here are the 5 notes of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're back to the top, right? That's my octave. If I just simply take that last note and instead of resolving to my ring finger, I just slide up, I set myself up to play the exact same pattern I just played. Now the B string is tuned down a half step. So any of these notes now have to move up a half step. Same pattern. Right? And if I slide up here, I run out of strings, right? I could complete the pattern if I had one more string, right? I can even see where it would be right here, right? It would be here and here. But those notes aren't there, right? I don't have enough strings. Silly guitar doesn't have enough strings for my big brain. I've just used one pattern. And I've gone from the 5th fret all the way up to the 12th fret, right? Now, anywhere I find a root and we're in the key of A, I can do that same thing. So now I've closed the gap here. I've got that same pattern here. Right? The fingering's a little different, but the pattern is the same. Here's an A on the 12th fret. Just slide up instead of finishing on my ring finger. And I'm ready to play that same pattern again. Seventeenth fret all the way to the open string, right? Utilizing that one pattern and just mapping it to that octave, right? And the cool thing about this is you don't really have to know where the octaves are. They'll come to you as you do this exercise. But the thing to remember is that when you get to the end of your pattern, that is your octave. Right? And that way you can start to see these octaves bracketing this information. So that example is the minor pentatonic scale. Let's say we have some new information coming in. We learn a new scale. It's the Hungarian Gypsy minor scale. Some of you will be pretty excited that I'm finally going to demonstrate this scale. I'm not a big fan, but here's what it looks like. Now this is a new pattern for me, right? Just imagine if I had to learn that over the entire fretboard by mapping those notes in positions, right? That's going to be really hard for me. But just using this pattern and sliding up to the octave, because that's where the scale ends, right? And just play the same pattern again. Run out of neck again, right? Now I've done that same thing and I've got Hungarian Gypsy minor over the entire fretboard, right? So let's take another example. I've got a major 7 arpeggio. Here it is, A major 7 arpeggio. I'm just using the notes from the A major scale. And I'm playing the 7th note, the 1st note, the 3rd note, and the 5th note. If I use octave linking, watch what happens. Right? I haven't learned a new thing. I'm just going from octave to octave. Right? Again, all the way to the 17th fret from way down here, I've just taken that one thing that I know, that one pattern, and by linking octaves, I've learned it over the entire fretboard, right? This is much faster. This is a much faster way to get new information. And if you bring your brain along and you understand what notes you're playing or what scale degrees you're playing, your fretboard knowledge will increase really, really, really fast. Now let me give you another example. I'm watching Joe Bonamassa play a $9 billion flying V, and he plays this lick. I'm like, wow, I really love that lick. That's cool. One thing I notice about this is that it starts and ends on G. That's G as well, right? So now I'm set up to play it again. So I could just link those together. Right? I've just taken that one lick and I've expanded over the entire neck just using octave linking. You can just imagine anything you learn, a new chord, a new scale, a lick like this, a new phrase. You can take octave linking and push it around the entire fretboard, thereby leveraging the thing that you're really good at, seeing patterns on this instrument, to leverage that idea and that capability to give you deeper context while also giving you quicker success. So by utilizing octaves and patterns, we've exposed a way to map any information across the neck by just using a singular pattern. But if this is new for you, take it slowly. Just use that minor pentatonic scale, for example, and just get the process down, right? Once you get the process down, like I showed, you can insert any new information to this and just map it in these octaves. Use the octaves to link all this stuff together. Not only will this reinforce the new information, but it'll allow you to get familiar with the fretboard. Where are the notes? These octaves will help you anchor new information to the entire fretboard. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Tabs for this lesson, as well as every lesson on this channel, are available on my Patreon page. That's also where you can get access to the studio, my online guitar academy. Head on over there if you want to take a look or grab some tabs. I hope this lesson's been interesting for you. I hope this octave linking has given you some new information about how to incorporate information onto the fretboard much more easily. As always, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.